Now, the transfer window opens on Sunday. Arsenal are already close to making their first signing of the summer. They're edging closer to a deal for the Real Sociedad midfielder and former Liverpool target Martin Zubimendi. Our chief reporter, Kaveh Solokol, is here. This is an easy one to get over the line.
Well, I think Arsenal have put a lot of work into this deal. Look, Zubimendi is one of the best number sixes in the world. Lots of big clubs have been after him. Last summer, Liverpool tried very, very hard to sign him. Manchester City have been interested as a potential long-term replacement for Rodri. Clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid have been in for him as well. But Arsenal, in the background, have been doing a lot of hard work. And we've basically known since January that the player himself had chosen to move to Arsenal this summer. Now, he's got a release clause in his contract at Real Sociedad, around £51 million. He feels very close to the club, his boyhood club. But I just think, without accusing Mikel Arteta of tapping anyone up, I just think Arsenal have presented something to him that is very difficult for him to turn down. And also, I think he really wants to work with Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta himself used to play for Real Sociedad. They both come from the same town as well. So I think he feels that Mikel Arteta is somebody who can help him develop and become an even better player. And I think, on paper, it is fantastic news for Arsenal fans because he's such a great player. If you remember in the final of the Euros, Spain, England in Berlin last summer, Rodri was injured. He replaced Rodri at half-time, came on in the second half. He looked absolutely brilliant. So I think it's a great bit of business for Arsenal. Obviously, all the paperwork needs to be completed. He needs to have his medical, but he will become an Arsenal player this summer.
Right, but every man and his dog is saying, hang on, they don't need a midfielder, they need a striker. Why haven't they prioritised a striker?
I think every man and his dog might be saying they need a striker, but every Arsenal fan will be saying we need a striker, but we need a midfielder as well. Because Jorginho is leaving. He announced that when his contract runs out next month, he will leave the club. We don't know what's going to be happening with Thomas Partey either, although Mikel Arteta has said he wants him to stay. But they do need a midfielder as well, and they're going to have a fabulous midfield next season. Odegaard, Declan Rice, Zubimendi. But you're right, they need a striker as well. They will sign a striker. They're in for players like Victor Gyökeres at Sporting, Benjamin Sesko at Leipzig. But those are big, big deals to do. I think they may take a little bit more time. But if you're an Arsenal fan or if you're one man and his dog watching this, relax, chillax, Arsenal will sign a striker.
We'll remember that. Let's talk Tottenham.
And a very good striker as well.
Yeah, all right, let's talk Tottenham then. Obviously,
we start with some developments at Arsenal, with the club edging closer to a deal for Real Sociedad midfielder and former Liverpool target Martin Zubimendi. As you can see, chief reporter Kaveh Solokol joins me now. Kaveh, what can you tell us about this deal then?
Well, look, it's very good news for Arsenal supporters. Not surprising news, because we've known for a while that Zubimendi was likely to sign for Arsenal. But he's a brilliant 26-year-old midfielder. A lot of the top clubs in Europe have been trying to sign him. Liverpool tried to sign him last summer. Real Madrid, Barcelona have also been after him. He played very well for Spain in the Euros in Germany last summer as well. But we've heard Mikel Arteta say on a couple of occasions that when Arsenal come calling, players most often say yes. They find it very difficult to turn Arsenal down. And I'm not going to accuse Mikel Arteta of tapping up the player, but I'm sure that Zubimendi has been very impressed with what Mikel Arteta is doing at Arsenal, and that is the reason he wants to move to Arsenal. Now, he's got this release clause in his contract. It's around £51 million. We've known for a long time that Arsenal are willing to activate that release clause. So I think what's happening now is that Arsenal are just pressing ahead with completing the deal, and subject to a medical, I think he will become Arsenal's first signing of the summer. First and not last.
Yeah, because what a lot of people will be saying, looking at this, is it's still not a striker.
Well, Arsenal will sign a striker this summer, no doubt about that. They will sign, I think, a world-class striker. Somebody like Victor Gyökeres at Sporting, somebody like Benjamin Sesko from Leipzig. that is the calibre of player they're looking at. And I know Arsenal fans are desperate for their club to sign an out-and-out striker. Just because they've signed Zubimendi doesn't mean they're not going to sign a striker. It will be Zubimendi and a striker and other players coming in as well. Because everyone's heard Mikel Arteta talk about the fact that finishing second is not good enough for him. Next season, he wants to win the title, and he's been putting a little bit of pressure on the Arsenal board to make sure they back him this summer, and I'm sure they will.
Right, a bit of breaking transfer news to bring you. We understand that Arsenal are finalising a deal to sign Real Sociedad midfielder Martin Zubimendi. There is still work to be done on this one, but Arsenal have met the conditions of the £51 million release clause in Zubimendi's contract. Once all the contractual details are sorted, Zubimendi will have a medical before completing the move. We know that a big priority in the window for Arsenal is signing a striker, but a midfielder has always been high on the agenda. We know that they're losing Jorginho when his contract expires next month. He confirmed he'll leave then. You might remember this story from last summer as well. Zubimendi close to joining Liverpool last summer, only to change his mind. It is believed that Arsenal made their interest known in the player then. They couldn't do a deal though because of the number of midfielders they had in their squad, but once Arsenal's interest became apparent, it's thought that Zubimendi was happy to stay at Sociedad for another season before making the move to the Emirates. So yep, big signing potentially for Arsenal, closing in on Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad.
Real Sociedad midfielder Martin Zubimendi is set to have a medical before completing a switch to Arsenal. Well-placed sources have confirmed to BBC Sport that all the relevant documents in relation to the Spain international's switch to the Emirates have been signed, with the deal entering its closing stages. The transfer is subject to a successful medical that Arsenal are in the process of organising. Because the paperwork for Zubimendi's switch has been completed, all parties are relaxed about the scheduling of the medical, but there is a will to wrap up the formalities of the deal swiftly. Once the 26-year-old passes the medical, Arsenal will be in a position to announce Zubimendi's signing. Zubimendi has a reported £51 million release clause, with all payment structures between Sociedad and Arsenal already agreed. Arsenal have been long-term admirers of Zubimendi and have been working on a deal to sign him for a number of months. In addition to Zubimendi's imminent arrival, the Gunners want to sign a new centre-forward, with Benjamin Sesko and Victor Gyökeres among the preferred targets. Talks over new contracts for Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, Gabriel, Leandro Trossard, Thomas Partey, Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri are also ongoing. Since treading the well-worn path from Sociedad's famed academy to the club's first team, Zubimendi has become one of the most sought-after midfielders in Europe. He has been linked to Barcelona and Real Madrid in recent years, and last summer rejected an approach from Liverpool. Zubimendi has largely played as a deep-lying midfielder since making his Sociedad debut in 2019, although he is capable of playing in a more advanced role. During the 6-year period that Zubimendi has played for Sociedad, he has amassed 180 appearances in La Liga, scored 6 goals and delivered 6 assists. Although his goal involvements are low, the forward-thinking midfielder, who has been capped by Spain from under-17 level through to the senior side, is known for his creativity in kick-starting attacks. He has made the most passes for Real Sociedad in their league campaign and has completed 84% of those.